Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Toni and I'm a homeschooling mom of 4 kids. And I am at a park today. It has been a super busy, crazy week and I haven't had a chance to do my video, so the only time I had was while my daughter is doing volleyball and my other kids are playing here at the park. So hopefully you guys can hear me. The question is, has anyone ever told you that phrase, the days are long but the years are short? I've heard that so many times. I always kind of feel guilty about being stressed out and being overwhelmed and stuff when moms say, oh, you'll miss the dishes and you'll miss the toys all over the living room and you'll miss the kids screaming and all this stuff. And I get it and I believe that we will miss it one day. But at the same time, it's a lot and it's overwhelming. I just seconds ago had to put one of my kids in timeout because they were pushing each other, and it's just, I mean, it's kind of nonstop. It doesn't stop ever. So in today's video, I'm going to share a couple practical tips that can help you, especially if you have multiple children. That is kind of the idea today. If you are homeschooling more than one kid, it is hard. It's really hard. So I have some practical tips that can help, and I also have some other tips that can just help you keep yourself going with some books that are so good that you need to check out. So if you want some help, if you have more than one kid, if you only have one kid, you can still watch this video. But definitely, I'm hoping to give you some practical tips and some helpful hints that will hopefully make your school day go a little bit smoother when you are homeschooling. So stay tuned. Okay, so first off, I have one huge practical tip that has helped me. It's so loud. That has helped my kids, and I just discovered this last year, and it's these noise canceling headphones. They're pretty awesome. They don't block out all the noise, but they really block out most of it. These are, I'll link them in the description box, but these were like maybe $10 on Amazon. These have been kind of a lifesaver because I typically have 3 to 4 kids in the homeschool room, usually 4. And I have 2 that are very noisy and distracting. And sometimes those 2 are the ones that are easily distractible too. And these have come in handy so much. Even if everyone is behaving, if I'm reading out loud with someone or someone is having to read something to me or I'm explaining directions and this kid here is trying to concentrate on something, these are a huge lifesaver because I say, go grab the headphones and they put them on. And it has been just huge for them to be able to put these on and they can really focus and concentrate because it really blocks out most of the background noise. But they can still kind of hear you if you need to get their attention or something. I've used these even before when I've had to do my Bible study for our small group on Wednesday nights and the kids are running around crazy. I will throw these on and it helps me too because you really can focus. So anyway, these are huge. I'm sure there's all kinds of brands out there and stuff, but get some noise canceling headphones. I only have one pair because typically I only have, just the way we rotate things, I feel like there's only really one kid at a time that really needs the headphones because whoever's wearing them, the other person I'm probably working with, or some people can just, one of my daughters can typically just work without using them. She doesn't use them very much, but they're huge. You could buy multiple, you could buy, if you've got 4 kids, buy everybody their own. I will probably buy another pair one of these days. I just haven't yet, and this has worked for us. So this is a huge lifesaver when you're homeschooling multiple kids to keep the homeschool room quiet. So that is my number 1 tip there. Get some noise canceling headphones. Okay, so my second tip is to school at one table. Like this could be your kitchen table, it could be around the kitchen counter, or you could have a homeschool room devoted to homeschool and you could have a homeschool table. My personal opinion is having one table where everybody sits around is so much better. I know there's other moms that have different desks spread out around the room or different setups like that where the kids can be separate. For me, I would be stretched too thin if I have to keep hopping from kid to kid and walking around. I just kind of sit in one central spot and I have my big kids all around the other 3 sides of the table, and my little one, when he joins us, just sits next to me. But having the one table where I can be working directly with someone and this person has a question, all I have to do is look over at the book. I'm not having to get up and walk around, and it's just so much easier. So I would make sure you sit at a table in the middle of the room by a window with a lot of pretty light. That just helps us. So that has been a huge help because I have had them separate a little bit before, and I feel like I was just pulled in different directions, and I didn't need to be. So that would be my suggestion, is to just sit around one table with the whole family. And then if you ever do get to where one of the kids needs to have privacy and needs to work where there is no sound, let's say they're taking a test or something like that, that's when I would send one of my girls off to their bedroom. Or if we're all working around the table in the homeschool room and somebody, usually it's a test, someone really feels like they need to focus on, or if they're trying to read silently or something like that, I send them to the living room or go sit at the kitchen table or something like that. So otherwise, I think it's best to work around the table together. Okay, so the third tip is to change up the scenery. It does get boring sometimes being in that one homeschool room for 4 to 6 or however long it takes you to do school hours a day. And I think that can also cause some frustration and bickering and different things happening between, if you have multiple kids sitting around the table staring at each other all day long, can be a little much, even for moms sometimes, right? So I would recommend going to a park. We have brought school to the park before. Getting outside is just, bring a picnic blanket, sit at a picnic table, whatever it is. That is kind of huge. Just getting some fresh air and being outside, even just going in the backyard. If you go, we've done it before where I've put out a big blanket in the backyard and we've done art outside, or even just brought books outside and read. That is the thing that my kids remember. They're not like, oh, remember that Tuesday that we sat in the schoolroom all day long? They don't remember that, but they remember the day that it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. Hey Mom, remember when we went out in the backyard and we drew the trees that were in the backyard and things like that? They loved it. Or go to the library. That was one of our favorite things. I know library hours and different things, and depending on where you live, you may be limited on being able to do that right now, but we have loved being able to go to the library. We pack up our books, all of our school books for the day, and our library has a nice setup where my big kids can sit around a table in one section, and my little guy can go play and come back and see us, and I can still kind of keep an eye on everybody. But just the change of scenery is huge. And we live in a small town, so we have sweet librarians that don't mind us being there. They know us by name. So it's been really great. And that was something that just switching it up was just huge. And I feel like when you go in public, at least for mine, my kids don't fight when we're in public. So that is pretty nice. If you're in the house, they're going to mess with each other. But at least for my kids, if we go to the library, they're going to be on their best behavior. So that helps with that too. If you just switch up the scenery, no matter where you go. Now, I will say, you're not necessarily going to get everything done. So you do sacrifice a little bit, where if you're at home, you can sit there and keep pushing on and probably get everything done. I don't know if we ever went to the library and got every single thing done, because there is the distraction of books and people and just being somewhere else, or you forget, oh, I forgot my math book, or you always forget something. But I still think it was worth it. For a while there, we went to the library every single week. We had like one day a week where we would go to school in the library. But still, just going every once in a while is huge, just to switch up the scenery. So I think that helps when you have multiple kids. Get out. Wherever you can go, get out and just change it up. Okay, so those are my practical tips with how to get through your school day with multiple kids and how to just make life a little bit easier. And now I'm just going to share with you a couple books. The first one, I am so excited to share this with you guys. It's called Rescue. I am very good friends with the author of this book. Her name is Trudie, and this thing is so beautiful. I'm so excited to be able to share this with you guys. So this book is called Rescue, 5-minute daily devotions for homeschool moms. This book is so amazing. It's gorgeous, I just have to say. I'm so excited. I've been waiting to get my hands on this. The cool part is Trudie wrote the majority of this book. but she opened it up to some friends that she allowed them to submit some devotions also, and I got to write 2 devotions that are included in this book, and it was just such a blessing to be a part of this project. So I just wanted to recommend this. I got it last night and I felt like I was going to read the whole entire book because it was just so good. It is meant for you to read 1 devotion a day. So it only takes you 5 minutes, maybe less, to read these little devotionals, and they're just so encouraging. As I feel like rescue is the best word for how I feel many days as a homeschool mom to 4 kids who fight and interrupt my video. I see. Put that down. Put it down. Put it down. I feel like sometimes I'm drowning. I feel like very overwhelmed at times and like I have no clue what I'm doing. And sometimes you just need encouragement from other homeschool moms, whether they've been homeschooling for 20 years. I read one last night where one of these moms talked about what she went through as a mom and what she learned from, and she's graduated all of her kids, which is amazing. I love hearing from moms who've actually graduated their kids, and you can see this can be done, which is pretty great. I'm going to read you my little devotional in here real quick, just so that you can get a taste for what one of them is like, and you'll have to check out the book if you want to. I hope you guys can hear some of this because it is so loud out here. Okay, so I'm going to share mine. It's called Be Still. I remember the moment when everyone's phones in church started beeping and we realized that a tornado warning was in effect for our direct area. Panic came over me as I grabbed my children and hurried into the ladies' bathroom with the rest of the moms and their young children. I remember vividly being trapped in that bathroom at the church with only 3 of my 4 kids as I waited to see if the tornado was going to hit the church. I remember being so worried about my baby, who was in another part of the church with the nursery workers, and my husband, who was probably outside watching the storm. I remember trying to hold it all together and smile as every other lady crammed in that bathroom seemed happy and totally fine. Have you ever felt desperate? Like life is uncertain? Like everyone else seems to have it together except for you? God says, be still and know that I am God. How amazing is that promise? To have the creator of this huge world that we live in whisper in times of storm, be still and know that I am God. When your house is a disaster, your child failed their math test, your youngest just wrote on the couch with a permanent marker, and your husband just called and said that he has to work late, again, be still and know that he is God. When you are trying to balance being a loving wife, a patient mother, a calm homeschool teacher, a joyful housekeeper, and everything seems to be piling up and overwhelming you, be still and know that he is God. Something my husband has always told me to help put things into perspective is there is always someone out there who has it worse than we do. That's so true, isn't it? Does that mean that what you are struggling with right now doesn't matter to God? Absolutely not. He is your Father. He wants to wrap his mighty arms around you and remind you to be still and know that he is God. That is my little clip, and I have another one in here too. But there are amazing devotionals in here just to get you through your day and just to help you remember what this is all about and that God is there for you and why we're doing this. Because I think sometimes you get wrapped up in your day and you kind of have the academic part of it in your mind, and that we need to get this school done, and oh, they're not getting their math, this is so frustrating, or they're not understanding this concept, or all the stuff I just read in history just went right out the window and nobody can answer this question. And you kind of forget we're really here to train their hearts. Yes, we're here to teach them and train their minds too, but if I told my girls this morning that if we're not focused on the heart, then we've really missed the point, and that's what it's all about. So this book is amazing. I will link this in the description box if you want to get a copy of it. I believe it's only $15 on Amazon, and it's totally worth it. I think it's got 140 devotionals in here, and there's, I think, around 30 homeschool moms that have written devotions in here besides my friend Trudie, so check this out. It's amazing. So one of my other favorite devotionals that I just think is wonderful is called 101 Devotions for Homeschool Moms by Jackie Wellwood, and I will link this in the description box too. But this is amazing. It's just quick little, it probably takes 3 to 5 minutes to read each of these devotionals, and it just points you to God and why we're doing this. It's the same concept. And I feel like reading devotions by other homeschool moms is so important, just to really reinforce, like what I just said about this other book by Trudie. But this is one that I found a few years ago, and a couple things that it said in here was, count it a blessing that your children are underfoot all day and you can see everything that happens as they grow. Like, that's one of those things that without being told, make sure you count it a blessing. Are we thinking, oh, what a blessing that my kids are touching me all day and under my feet, and I, have to lock the door to get into the bathroom and just get 2 minutes of quiet and they still bang on the door, stuff like that. But you know what? It's refreshing to read that and just see, we need to count it as a blessing, because it is. And in the moment, sometimes you don't realize that, or you forget. It also says in here in one of these devotions, unfortunately, we have missed the blessing of diligently working with a child who needs extra help or attention. And that was one of those things when I read, I was like, oh, what a good point, because sometimes when school is over, everybody else is done and you've got 20 minutes now that you're going to be sitting here and you're going to be working with this kid that's been struggling with reading or with math or with whatever it is that they struggled with today. And you're ready to be done and you kind of want to go relax too. Think of it as a blessing. This is a special one-on-one time that you get to work with this one kid that God's given you, and you get to hold their hand and really help walk them through whatever they're struggling with. And I thought that was just cool. So there's just so many little snippets in here that are encouraging and have really helped me over the years. So that's another really cool book. So this is another book, Teaching from Rest by Sarah Mackenzie. If you have been around the homeschooling world at all for the last couple years, you've probably heard of this book and hopefully you've read it too. But this book is amazing. It's a tiny little read. I heard about this. I heard so many moms talk about how amazing this was. And so I put it in my Amazon cart last Christmas, and my husband ordered it for me, and one of my kids gave it to me for Christmas, which was really sweet. But this book is amazing. Sarah Mackenzie, if you don't know who she is the author of the Read Aloud Revival, which is huge on encouraging the read alouds with your kids. And that's another thing. When you've got multiple kids, I struggle to find time to do read alouds. I want to do read alouds and I want to sit as a family, cozy up on the couch, reading a good book, but it is hard sometimes to find the time when you've got, multiple subjects for each kid to do. But if you make it a priority, even audiobooks, that was one of the things that I heard on her podcast this week, which Trudie has a podcast that I'll link below, and so does Sarah Mackenzie. That's another thing. Podcasts are great. If you don't have time to sit and read a book, there are so many good podcasts out there that you can listen to. I listen to them in the morning while I'm getting ready. And yes, I have to pause it 25 times every time one of my kids comes in to ask me a question or talk to me or complain about somebody. But it's so good, and it's filling my soul and helping encourage me. So I'm going to read you one of the things in Sarah's book, this Teaching from Rest. It says, however we interact with our children while using the material matters far more than whether or not we get through it. Instead of focusing on what we need to cover in any given year, it may be helpful to think about what we might uncover and master. After all, if our eyes are so fixed on the finish line that we miss the experience entirely, what have we really gained for our labors? And that is like life-changing. If you can really put that, it puts everything into perspective. If you really have the right now and the moment that you're here with your kid as your focus, rather than, oh, you have to get through to, calculus by the time you're a senior or something. If that's really your focus, then I think you're kind of missing the point. So I think that's just wonderful. Try to, if you really have the heart of your child as your goal, no matter how many kids you have, you're going to uncover some amazing blessings. That's just a tiny little, there's kids on the playground now screaming. That's just a tiny little snip from this book. I will link this in the description box below too. If you don't have this book, you need to get this book. This is amazing. There's one more book, Homeschool Bravely by Jamie Erickson. I have not read this whole book yet. I need to. I have heard you may have already heard of this and read this book, but this is supposed to be amazing too. How to squash doubt, trust God, and teach your child with confidence. And Jamie Erickson, I followed her on YouTube, like when I first started homeschooling, and watched every single one of her YouTube videos. And I met her at a conference once and felt really like nervous and giddy and like really awkward meeting this kind of like, you know, YouTube star to me, and someone that I looked up to, and I had learned so much from the homeschooling world. It was pretty awesome meeting her. So I was so excited to get her book, and I haven't finished it yet. I've actually only like a chapter in, but I have heard amazing things about this, and so I feel like this is on my to be read list, and I definitely think that you guys should check this out too, because I've just heard that this is amazing. So anyway, this is one that I will be reading very soon, and I would recommend it. I just know she knows a lot. She knows what she's talking about. She has 5 or 6 kids, and just is one of those moms that seems like she has it all together. I'm sure she doesn't, because none of us feel like we do, you know, but she really has a lot of wisdom, and we all want to homeschool bravely, right? So this is just another one I will link in the comments below that I've heard enough about it to know that this should probably be recommended. I just haven't finished it yet. So that's it for today's video. I hope these were some helpful things. If you have 1 kid, or you have 8 kids, or you have how many ever kids you have, it's not easy. Homeschooling is a blessing, and it's hard too. The one thing you want to do is turn to God, and sometimes we forget that. I feel like when I have a stressful day, this is what I turn to. I drink Mountain Dew, and I'm not a coffee drinker. A lot of moms go to coffee. I hate coffee, it's gross. So I drink Mountain Dew. But instead of trying to get caffeine to calm me down and get myself through the day, why not pray to the Lord? You know, He's there for you. He wants you to come to Him, and He wants to get you through this. He's the one that gave this job to us. He's the one that has designed our path of which way we're going to go in our life, and homeschooling is where, if you're watching this right now, where God has told you to go and where He's told me to go. And we just need to give it our all and trust the Lord that He's going to get us through it. So I hope these tips were helpful. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do, so that you're notified every time one of my videos comes out. And I hope this video wasn't too loud. Thanks for watching. See you next time.